then 10 is when I will give you the first signal, and we
Okay.
need to start winding up so that you get another 1.5 minutes to wind up. If we are able to do that, then we can also get some questions in at the end, so that we are going to be able to check how the listeners have been, what kind of questions they may have or queries. So if you are ready, shall we begin?
Definitely.
um, Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session. This is parallel session 110. The topic that we are going to have today is developing cross cultural bonds, understanding, and care. We have two speakers, Mithali Chopra and Naval Nagi. The first person who's listed here is Naval. So, Naval, would you like to go first?
Definitely, I would love to. Hi, Archana. Hi,
Hi.
Mitali.
So, may I just
Hi, hi, Naval.
introduce you, Naval, before you start off? Naval is a professor in English from Assam, from Jorhat, Assam, and she has published 5 papers in national and international journals. Her main interests are reading and composing poetry. So,
Oh,
wish you all the very best, Naval, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on developing cross cultural bonds, understanding, and care.
Thank you so much, Archana. Thank you for the very kind introduction. And thanks for having me here. I'm indeed very honored to be sharing this platform with such eminent speakers. And like you already said, that I'm from Assam, which is in the northeastern region of India. So I am going to today share a story of cross-cultural bonding with you, which I have seen closely in my personal life. So Assam is known for its culture and its element of hospitality. And drawing on this element of hospitality, I'm going to share with all of you a very unique account of a clan of Indian settlers who have made Assam their home for about 200 years now. And they have assimilated culture that, it has become extremely challenging kind of difference between them and the natives of the land. The Sikh community, as in Sikhism, which was founded by Guru Nanak Dev. The Sikh community, it's found throughout the country, and also they're scattered all around the globe for that. In Sikh very distinctly recognized as people who are associated with the culture of Punjab, and that is what unites them, regardless of the place that they're situated in. But very interestingly, there is a community of Sikh settlers situated in and around Borkola, Assam, who are very distinctively known as Assamese Sikhs, without any reference to the land of Punjab. And these, of course, there are numerous, instances of people migrating and settling in different lands, and then they adopt the culture of the land. But what makes these Assamese Sikhs so different is the fact that they do not see themselves having any kind of connection with Punjab. They consider themselves totally Assamese in blood and soul, and they regard Assam as their motherland and Assamese as their mother tongue. And many of them, they in fact no longer understand or speak Punjabi, which is very noteworthy, because Sikhs all over the world, they are known to converse in Punjabi. Again, here, I want to point out that this Assamese Sikh community, they mark a difference from the Punjabi Sikhs of the region, who migrated much later and only in the 20th century. So before I talk any further about this community, I would like to give you a brief history of how these settlers came to, found their way to the eastern region of the country. So it was in 1820 that Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the then Emperor of Punjab, he sent about 500 soldiers under the leadership of Chaitanya Singh. And these soldiers were sent to Assam to help the Ahom king of that time, Chandrakanta Sinha. So the Ahoms, they ruled Assam for about 600 years. And during their rule, there were multiple Burmese invasions. So these soldiers were sent by Maharaja Ranjit Singh to help the Ahom king against in the third war against the Burmese. So the battle was fought in the Gwalpara district, and Chaitanya Singh, he laid down his life fighting the battle. And after his death, his wife and few other soldiers, they crossed the Brahmaputra River and they finally settled at Chaparmukh. So in 1825, they also constructed a Gurdwara there in Chaparmukh, which is existent even today and contains one of the oldest copies of Shri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, which is the holy book of the Sikhs. And it is a handwritten copy. So that makes it even more special. So, this Assamese Sikh community, basically, they are the residents of the rural society of the Assam Valley. They are predominantly agriculturists, and they are mostly based in the district of Nagaon, in and around the village Borkola. So, if we talk about their ethnic identity or physical distinctiveness, they come very close to the native Assamese people of the land, rather than their Punjabi counterparts. So over the years, there have been numerous marriages between them and the local people of the land, because of which they have also developed somewhat Mongolian features. So they no longer look North Indian in that way. And these marriages, they also, serve to strengthen the merger of these two communities further, and it somehow helps them to sustain the very dual nature of their culture. So in a study of about 500 such marriages, it's found that in 50% of the marriages, the wife's community of origin was Assamese. So we can say that their familial life is a very peculiar synthesis of Sikh, Hindu, and Assamese traditions.
Right.
So like I said, these people, they no longer look North Indian. So if you talk about the menfolk, they can only be distinguished from the native men of the land by means of their turban and their beard, which as a Sikh they support very dedicatedly. That is to be remembered. But however, for the women, there is no such feature of distinction. So an Sikh woman other Assamese, you will see her clad in the mekhla chadar, which is the and adorned with sindoor, which is indicative of the marriage status of Hindu. If we, for an Assamese Sikh woman, her dress, food, language, her daily life schedule, community celebration comes so close to her Assamese neighbor that it becomes very difficult to demarcate the other. So I happened to come across a Sikh wedding celebration, and
Oh, I think we've sort of lost connection with her. So while we wait for her to come back, perhaps we can, Mithali, would you like to start? I'm sorry that, it's kind of in between.
It's okay. I don't mind starting, but I hope she doesn't mind and she can continue from where she left once she comes in.
Yes, but I'm just worried about the time being.
Okay. Okay.
So, oh, I think she's back.
Okay.
Hi, Naval. Can you hear us now?
Sorry, there was no connection. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes,
you're audible.
Just to help improve the bandwidth, I'm going to put my video off so that hopefully your bandwidth will improve. I mean, this entire thing may become a little better for you. So just try and get back on.
Okay.
Are you able to get back?
Okay. All right.
Naval?
Okay. Hello? Yeah. Am I audible? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Please continue. Okay, we've lost her again. Okay. Mithali, you are on mute. You're on mute, so you'll have to unmute Mithali.
Yeah.
Yes.
Done that. Yeah.
I think we'll take permission from her and we will go on with the session and she can continue perhaps a little later, a very interesting story that she was telling us.
Absolutely, very insightful.
Yes. May I please introduce you, Mithali, to the audience. Mithali is a certified international etiquette and protocol consultant with a certification from International Etiquette and Protocol Academy of London. She's the founder of Manners Matter in India. Having been in business for the past 25 years, she's acutely aware of the demands of the business environment, the need to distinguish oneself from the competition, and to project a positive and respectful image. Thank you so much for being here, Mithali. And over to you to discuss your thoughts on developing cross-cultural bonds, understanding, and care.
Pleasure to be here, Archana, and thank you for such a kind introduction. Sounded better in your voice because you were the one to give it to everybody. And I welcome everybody who's there in this room with us to the session, to the second half of the session. It was a very insightful talk that Naval gave, and I hope we get to hear her again. So I am going to talk today on inculcating business etiquette for developing cross-cultural bonds, understanding, and care. So when we speak about cross-cultural bonds, so basically earlier on, traditionally people, when they used to get into doing business, they would be interacting with somebody across the street or probably from another city, but within the same country. But now with the world becoming a smaller place to live in, people are doing business with their counterparts across the globe. So the kind of differences that they have to deal with is in terms of beliefs and the customs, traditions, as compared to maybe the differences in likes and dislikes when they were dealing with people across the street. So that is why understanding cultural bonds has become important in today's day and age. How is it important for you? It's important for you because you have to understand the differences that the differences is the main thing that you need to concentrate on. It is not about being right or wrong, okay? And once you come from that space, you tend to be more comfortable in your approach to people, you open lines of communication better, you tend to build trust with people, you position yourself better within the organization as well as outside with the people whom you're dealing with in business. You tend to project more confidence, more authority. You tend to build up teamwork, and in the process, you improve the productivity of your company as well. Okay. Now, how does business etiquette fit into all this? So if you consider whatever we have spoken about so far is related to behavior, and that is exactly what etiquette is all about. It's about polite behavior. It is about showing deference and respect. And but what we need to understand is that what is considered right in my culture might not be considered right in somebody else's culture. So we need to understand these differences and go ahead and take certain factors into consideration while we are dealing with people from different countries or even in different parts of the state in India. So the first thing to do is to understand where the people are coming from. Are they individual oriented or people oriented in their mindset? So whether the person from United States who's more self-reliant and the kind of a person who feels that hard work pays and that is the only thing that is important, as compared to somebody from India for whom the family relationships or the bonds that you build are more important. So when these two people come from different space or different kind of thinking, for them to interact would be easier if they are open-minded. Going on to, there are some cultures which are competition-oriented and some cultures are collaboration-oriented. So if there is somebody from Germany whom you need to award, so they will probably accept the award well and thank you profusely for the same. But if there is somebody from Middle East or from India, they'll thank you for the award and also invite the other team members so as to receive the award together. Similarly, if people are from democratic or authoritarian style of functioning, the way they approach the bosses or the way they treat the bosses would be different. Like small difference, I will tell you, United States people address their bosses by name, whereas in India, we cannot even think of it. It's sir or madam or Mr. So-and-so, unless and until it's a multinational company from United States. So small differences, but go a long way in building relationship. Then let's go on to the time, how time has its effect on building relationship. So the way people perceive time is different from place to place, whether 8:30 means 8:30 or whether it means 9 o'clock in their terms or in their culture, whether the deadlines what are described or what are to be met, can they be extended or can they be maneuvered, or whether they need to follow it. So when you're dealing with people from different cultures, certain things you need to keep in mind, otherwise you can be prepared for the shipments to come back also. Now, going on to the next aspect, which is traditions, customs, and religion. They basically form the basis of any culture. So quickly, let's try and cover as many aspects as we can. The first is festivities. So festivity, let's say if you were to visit Bengal at the time when Durga Puja is around, it would not be the best time to think of talking business, because people will not be in the mood. Similarly, as far as values and beliefs are concerned, you need to, it's a vast topic, we can go on and on about it. But let's say that people are coming from the belief whether the people are event oriented or whether they are oriented towards whether they feel that fate plays value or it does not. So let's say if somebody is visiting from United States and they're ready to sign the deal with you. So if they come from the belief that, okay, let's sign the deal today, right now, but you might feel that, okay, let me check with my astrologer whether the time is auspicious or not. Happens. So it's not who is right or who is wrong. It is about looking at the same thing and approaching the same thing differently. And the major aspect to consider in business environment is also offering gifts. So what color paper should you use if there's somebody who's coming from Japan to wrap your gift? So it cannot be white because it has connotation with mourning. Similarly, the organizational culture might not permit you to be giving or receiving gifts from people. So you need to understand the cultural organization and also where people are coming from. If there's somebody coming from France to visit your country, make sure you don't give chrysanthemums as flowers, because again, they have connotation of mourning. So if there's somebody coming from an Islamic country, then try not to give wine bottles or maybe, gifts with figures made on them, because it's against their religion. So small things go a long way in building or breaking relationships. Going on to food habits, that forms the basis of the cultures too. So when you're visiting another country, or when you have people visiting your country, make sure that you talk about their food preferences, what kind of foods they need to abstain from as far as their religious beliefs are concerned, or even their allergies for that matter, so that you do not make, faux pas and land up embarrassing yourself as well as the others at the dining table. Similarly, if somebody was to visit China as a chief guest and he was made to sit on the left side, which is the seat of the highest authority next to the host, might be offended because in their culture, it might be the right side, which was considered to be the place of the highest authority for people to sit on. So a lot of things to consider as far as cultural traditions, customs, and religions are concerned. Going on to the next aspect, which is like gender issues, major issue as far as women are concerned. Business world is supposed to be an egalitarian world. It is considered to be where we do not differentiate between men and women. Having said that, if you were to visit Spain till some years back, and if you were to give your presentation standing, the room full of men would be standing with you, because it would be unfathomable for them to be sitting if the lady was standing. Wow. Similarly, if you were to visit an Islamic country, and try not shaking hands with the person of an opposite gender, because in some countries they would need to go back and take a bath because they would have touched another lady. So that is the kind of cultural differences you deal with when you're dealing with people across the world. So the same thing goes for dressing up as far as women are concerned. So different places have different norms about dressing up. We need to keep them in mind, though internationally skirts below the knees are considered to be professionally absolutely appropriate dress for a woman to get into. But in a conservative country, it might be different. So dress up accordingly, you know. So this kind of takes care of all the factors. Now let us see how to develop certain tools and skills so as to be more aware of cultural competence and sensitivity that you can develop over a period of time. So the first thing to do would be to be well informed, do a lot of research work, see where the people are coming from, try to learn their language so that, you know, there are certain words that you can speak in their language to make them feel good about themselves. Try to focus on the other person, try not to interrupt. Certain hand gestures are considered inappropriate in one culture and absolutely appropriate in another culture. So make sure that you're aware of these differences. Do not interrupt, listen, get into the habit of active listening, where you concentrate fully on the people and you do not get distracted. Think before you speak, practice your responses and have the agenda ready so that you do not waste too much of time. And once you come from this space, people will know that you are a cultivator of relationships and a builder of relationships. And it is not about being right or wrong. It is about recognizing the differences, accepting them, and celebrating them. Wow. So this brings me to the end of, it's a vast topic. I can just go on and on. I usually take a 10-hour session on it, but I hope I have covered enough for just to give you a little glimpse of what the cultures can do. You know. So thank you so much, and thank you for your patient listening. Over to Naval if she's around.
Yes, Naval is there, and thank you so much, Mithali. There's so much thought to be put behind, you know, going international in business, right? And not only international, but even cross-national. Yes,
absolutely.
Naval, you were telling us such a beautiful story about how you know, the Sikh community is kind of gelled into the Assamese community, and we'd love to hear the rest of it.
I'm very sorry about the internet connection. Yes, I hope it is a little better now. Yes. So I'll just continue from where I left off.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I happened to come across an Assamese Sikh wedding celebration. So what really caught my attention was that the entrance to the celebration, it was decorated with banana trees and a string of mango leaves. So which symbolizes wellness and fertility according to the Assamese Hindu customs. So all of these are very specific, typical Assamese features which one would come across in an Assamese wedding. You know, you will not find these features in a traditional Sikh wedding. So what I mean to say is that, you know, both these communities, they've merged together in such a way that you really cannot, you know, draw boundaries between their socio-cultural life. So, and because they share such a large area of socio-cultural life, it has also allowed them to communicate across religious boundaries. So, while I was doing a little research on this Assamese Sikh community, I came across an interview and in which an Assamese Sikh youth, he had stated that the locals of the state, they view them as their very own. Like there is no feeling of distinction or otherness. And similarly, an Assamese man had stated that the Sikhs, they partake in their religious celebrations like Bihu, which is an Assamese festival, is celebrated together. And likewise, Gurpurab is commemorated in the Gurdwaras. Assamese Sikh women, they make pithas, which is a traditional Assamese snack made specially during Bihu. So they make this snack during Bihus. And these same women, they also make laddus during Lodi, which is a Sikh festival. So both these communities, they have reached this level of cultural and religious understanding wherein both of them, they try to uphold the customs of the other as much as is feasible for them. And I believe that is very remarkable, especially in today's world where there is so much of religious intolerance all around. And I'm sure most of you must be aware that Assam is a state which is affected by floods every year. So even it is in news these days also because of this very reason. So this village of Borkhola, it is situated a bit upland. So because of that, the neighboring villages, they get flooded with water every year. So it is in this time of the year that the Asmi Sikh community of Borkola, they organize free meals in the form of langars in the gurdwaras of the village. And these are specially organized for the villagers of the, flood-stricken villages. So, and because whatever aid that comes from the side of the government, it usually comes a little late and is also not sufficient for the survival of all. So even though this community, they are themselves not very well off, but still they try their best to do as much as they can to help these neighboring Assamese villages to sustain themselves, especially in times of such crisis. And I really think this is a very impeccable example of cross-cultural bonding, which one can witness in this part of the country every year. And another very interesting detail about this community, which I would like to share, is that the Assamese Sikhs, they have contributed significantly towards Assamese literature. There have been a number of notable writers, and I would like to name Dr. Nand Singh, who has authored about 15 books. And he also has a Sahitya Academy Award to his credit for his contribution to Assamese literature. And that's very remarkable. Then there is Dr. Bhupender Singh, who has tried to make Sikh scriptures accessible to the Assamese by translating the Sikh gurus into the Assamese language. So, one can say that this long participation and constructive role played by this Assamese Sikh community in the field of Assamese literature has sort of re-emphasized their claim as sons of the soil of Assam. So this was my very brief account of a sect of Sikhs who are situated outside Punjab. They do not, they're not born in Punjab, they do not speak in Punjabi, and they do not look forward to the land of the five rivers for their survival. Yet, in spite of amalgamating so well with the culture of Assam, they have kept their Sikh identity intact. They visit the Gurdwara regularly, they sing hymns or kirtan as we call it. So, and however, having said that, their essence is also very closely associated with the host community's culture and people. And it is from them that they derive their spirit. So, and so as an ending note, I would like to say that the host community's acceptance and acquiescence of these migrants has remained very significant, and I believe is very laudable, because it has given birth to this very unique fusion, which I believe underscores the spirit of a multicultural and multi-religious country like India. So with that, I would like to end. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Very insightful, very nice. Thank you so much, Naval.
Thank you so much.
So, I mean, it's so fantastic the way human beings are able to sort of melt into each other's cultures given time. And
Absolutely.
I have a question, while I wait for the audience to ask questions. I was wondering, it's not that we don't want to melt into somebody else's cultures, right? But yet it probably requires a lot of time, do you think, Mithali? Because, when you look at it from a business point of view, we take it as such a chore. Array, we have to go and, we have to learn this, we have to learn that, we have to remember this, we have to remember that. So it becomes like a chore. But when you're doing it like, when you're going and living somewhere else and, you automatically adapt and develop those linkages.
Absolutely, Archana. I completely agree with you. And also what is important is the mindset of the people. So to leave that baggage about being right or wrong and knowing that the differences are there and celebrate those differences, rejoice those differences so that you can learn from them also. I'll give you a small example from Jamshedpur. So when I got married and came here, Gujarati community was the first community I interacted with. So we were invited to their house for lunch, and they served Gujarati curry, which is sweet in taste, whereas Punjabi curry is absolutely sour in taste. So my taste buds went for, a toss, because I could not even fathom that the curry could be sweet. And today I love it so much. So it is all about accepting and to be able to amalgamate, the more non-judgmental you are, the more you leave the, that self-assertiveness or ego behind, the more you will be able to amalgamate. Coming from Jamshedpur, it's a small cosmopolitan city, and we have so many communities living here all together. And the way we kind of celebrate each and every culture, it is of the place where people are coming from, right from Gujarat to West Bengal to UP to everywhere. It is amazing to see. So, it also depends on how people embrace you also, and how ready you are to embrace them, in your turn.
Right.
So, yeah. So,
and another point which I just like to throw into this discussion is the point of respect.
absolutely.
How much is that important? Like when I come to any other place, I must respect their local traditions. Many of us have this habit, like what you were saying about being judgmental about those. Array, so silly, they're doing it like this.
Yeah.
And then we are all out to show them how to do it right.
Right. So that is where business etiquette comes in. So etiquette is all about, showing respect, showing deference, showing polite behavior. But to understand that the polite behavior in your culture might not be the polite behavior in my culture. So to be able to differentiate and sensitize yourself to it, to be able to, to accept completely without questioning is also very important. Yeah.
Great. Ladies, any parting thoughts before we end the session? Naval, would you like to add anything to what you have said? It's a really beautiful story which I've never heard before. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. It was such an enlightening story.
And I completely agree with Mithali. Like she said, that it's all about celebrating the differences. There will be so many differences. Everyone cannot be alike. That is just not human nature. But it's about accepting, and of course, that element of respect for everyone. So,
thank you both so much for being with us. And we're really very, very proud to confer on both of you an award titled Iconic Woman Creating a Better World for All. So thank you for doing all that you are doing to make this world a better place. It is very important and it's making a difference. So congratulations on your award and thank you for being part of WAF Bangalore 2020 Global Digital Summit.
Thank you, Arshia.
So much. Thank you so much, Archana.
Thank you. We are honored, and thank you so much for hosting it so well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.